It's been a while since I've engaged in a lively Lance rant late in the evening. It's because, I've been traveling to various places. I've been broadcasting to you from Europe and recently Canada, where we're dealing with a great awakening, mobilizing against Trudeau, that wonderful narcissistic twinkle-toe fascist they have up there. And he's about as popular right now as Hamas is in Israel. Well, maybe that's an exaggeration. But he's not as popular as he was. So I see a nationalist movement coming alive in Canada. But that's not what I'm talking about. I want to talk to you at this late night, and there's just a few of you on. I know that it's late. You're not used to having me do this, and we've kind of gotten out of the habit, you and me, of having our late night conversations. But I've been thinking. I got that new chair over there. The chair goes back, actually. Perhaps I should give you my Lance rant. I got an insight. I believe Donald Trump's on his way. I think Trump's on his way to the presidency. I've been cautious about saying that, but now look at this chair. The chair goes back. Watch this. The chair goes. Can you see what I'm doing? Look at that. Oh, I'm not rotating my phone. Sorry. The chair goes actually back like this. And so if I could show you my feet, see that? It's an excellent kind of unusual position. It's like an astronaut position. And it's probably good for my, my anti-gravity rants. But all right, I'm not going to do that tonight. I can't get out of the chair. Hold on a second. I'm stuck in the chair. Hold it. All right. I'm better now. Okay, so Joe Biden, the Democratic Party. I want you to know something. This Hamas attack has actually destroyed, it's fractured the Democratic Party. I want to give you my theory of this. It just came to me tonight. I would have done it earlier, but it came to me tonight in the sanctuary of my office here with my inspirational Christmas lights still up. Now, here's what I found out. Do you remember when Trump was going through the 2020 thing? And I can remember praying so desperately. And take a look at these books I'm reading. Just a little light reading at night. How's that? Pray for me. Am I losing my mind? All right, so I was praying, and I said, Lord, how I remind you of Israel, how Trump has blessed Israel. Did he not kill Soleimani, that wicked Iranian terrorist who is the mastermind of military assaults that crippled and maimed 600 American soldiers? Did he not move the embassy to Israel under great protest? They said, don't do it, there'll be riots. He stood his ground like no one else. He said, we're going to do it. There's not hardly a peep. I think Soros had to pay for some protest or something in New Jersey. And then he had the Abraham Accords. He never got the Nobel Peace Prize. He should have. Obama got the Peace Prize for nothing. Trump, meanwhile, he puts Saudi Arabia, he puts Jordan, he puts Egypt, he puts the entire area surrounding Israel at peace. They're still trying to negotiate, even with the war going on. So let's hold it for now, not a good time. They want peace with Israel. Who did that? Trump. I said, Lord, he killed the great enemy, general in Iran. He put the embassy. He had... Surely, if there's anything in our evangelical theology that even comes close to justifying the concept that you would bless them that bless Israel, this man has done we need a little intervention here. 10,000 votes in Georgia, 10,000 in Arizona. I know that there were suspicious circumstances. I better not say what I'm thinking right now. I might get banned. But can't we I know the votes are there. I know that Lord, America can't afford 4 years of these crazy people. The Lord did not hear our prayers. Oh, I know the prophets. Many of them caught in the denial. Trump is still the president. He's really the president from Mar-a-Lago. He's running everything with the military. Behind the scenes, Trump is still the president. Trump was inaugurated in heaven, actually, not on earth. We got crazy trying to work out the reality. Well, Joe Biden isn't president. He's actually a reptile in a human suit. I heard that one too. Hey, the fake White House. That's not even the real White House. It's the fake White House. Hey, do you see his hand moving there? That isn't even him. Remember a digital screen hand? I covered that. I myself was losing my mind. I couldn't understand. How could this have happened? Well, now listen. It's all going to make sense in a second when I put it all together. God in his infinite wisdom knows what he's doing. The situation still is desperate. But here's my theory. Trump did so into Israel. But the way that God's going to return it isn't a direct quid pro quo back to Trump. You get to be president because you were nice to Israel. That's how we think. It's like, gumball theology. Put the quarter in, get the blessing out. But look at what Israel is experiencing now. Look at what God is doing in Israel. I'll tell you what's happening. Hamas, you can just see the devil. On the last day of the Feast of Tabernacles, while the Jews are blissfully celebrating their final day in celebration of the Torah, the prophetic feast, those of you that don't know should know, the Feast of Pentecost and the Feast of Passover have already happened. The great feast, prophetically symbolic of the coming into the end-time harvest, is Tabernacles. That's the outpouring of God's Spirit on all flesh. And here it is, the crescendo of the last great day of the feast as the Jews are celebrating on their Sabbath. Boom. Hamas comes in, kills, maims, destroys, tears the babies out of fathers' and mothers' arms, kills them, kills children in front of parents, parents in front of children. And then a whole group, nobody's even talking about this, of civilians, not just the army, but a second wave of civilians came in with permission to loot everything they could get their hands on. And they were the ones that got paid $500 a piece or so for bringing back hostages. All right. The devil said, I will do this to incite a world war. I will do this to crush Israel, whom I hate. I will do this to embroil the world in conflict. There will be no peace in the Middle East. There'll be no unity for Muslims, and the Accords of Abraham will never happen. And Trump, I've got him ready for 700 years being locked up. His own lawyers are on trial, having to turn against him to do plea deals to keep out of prison. I've got the United States right where I want it coming down, and I've got war in the Middle East. But you see, he made a miscalculation. Now, here's my theory. God did look at Trump's faithfulness with Israel. And for his own reasons, he has allowed the enemy, the Democrats, the enemy and, ironically, the Democrats, in their party, their philosophy, their worldview, open borders, reckless spending, $35 trillion of debt, 8 million people through the border, and who knows how many of them are actually operative militants. We'll find out. But God said, hey, America, you've turned your back on me. Perhaps the pain has to increase for you to realize the price you pay. Now they're turning on this guy. The new guy is the Speaker of the House, and they're mocking him for his Christian faith. But here's the thing. It's Hamas that is destroying the Democrats' prospects of staying in office. It's Hamas that is actually putting Trump in. Can you see? It looks to me like God is literally mocking the devil. He's saying, you think what you're doing right now with Israel, you think that's accelerating your agenda? How about this? Hamas is dividing the Democrats and splintering them. Because the crazy, privileged, white, campus, liberal, spoil-rotten nut jobs that are the offspring of the bitter professors who resent that they are not more respected and highly paid, and they pour out their pathological hatred of America onto the students. Students are out there protesting. So if you're 35 or 30 and under, here's Biden trying to give you free college tuition again. They could care less. They hate him. You know why? He's not against the Jews. It's the Palestinians. It's the Palestinian liberation. It's liberate Palestine. It's Hamas. It's from the border to the sea, and all this nonsense about killing all the Jews. His idiotic, spoiled, rotten little liberal white youth are leading the campuses in an uprising. He's lost them. He's lost their support because he's also got the moderate donor class. Jewish donor class in many cases, that are holding his feet to the fire and saying, this is a Holocaust. And so Biden goes down to Israel to stand with Israel to make sure that his party has its support in place, but he's losing and fragmenting with the AOC nut jobs. But here's the interesting thing. There was always a weird alliance between the business mountain and the government mountain in terms of politics and the corporate class. Biden, the mansions, the Bidens and those guys, they were the Wall Street guys. And Kamala Harris, they had the deal with, we're going to keep the money flowing. $35 trillion, $34 trillion. They keep the spigot of money going so these guys can continue their irresponsible, money games on Wall Street. They're to keep the money flowing. The uneasy alliance was between the radical left, the campuses, the youth, the professors, the open borders, Bernie Sanders nut jobs, and the corporatists, the Wall Street guys. The Wall Street people and the left were only together until Hamas hit. Now the corporations are backing up. I mean, you've got this interesting moment right now where you got your top Jewish donors to the universities that are actually backing out and bailing out. So Biden has a problem. He's got to either shore up his wacky left and keep them in the lined up with him, or he's got to identify with his moderate Jewish donor class, Democrats. Because what's happening right now is his position on Israel is causing nobody to be happy. On the side of Hamas, the wealthy Jewish Democrat donors have zero sympathy for Hamas, rather. They have zero sympathy for what Hamas represents. So Biden's got a problem. And you've got like Leon Cooperman, Mark Rowan, John Huntsman, and various other mega donors to the universities and the corporations. These are the $40 million to the University of Penn type guys. And they're cutting off their support. They're saying these kids got S for brains. That's what they're saying. And so you're seeing a fragmentation in the Democratic Party. And I'm telling you, who would have thought Israel would have done it? But you see my point? Trump did bless Israel. But it's going to be Israel that becomes the stumbling stone that fragments the Democratic Party. Because either Biden's got to go shore up his radical base by backing up on Israel, or which will never work. Because the Republican Party is in alignment on Israel for the most part. There's a couple of hiccups there because we don't want to be sending more money to the Ukraine. And I got the Bannons in my world who are not wanting to get involved with the war. Agree, we don't want to get involved with the war. Two fronts, got Ukraine is stupid. Close that one down. We don't need Ukraine and Israel. And it is fraught with danger because Russia is saying, oh, I'm on the side of a two-state solution. And Turkey, Erdogan is saying, we got 1 million people really ready to rock and roll. I'll go in and be the deliverer and the savior of the Muslim world. I'm going to be the Messiah. I'll go to war. I'm going to settle this thing. All kinds of temptations out there for the caliphate to start to rise up. Sunnis and Shiites to put their differences aside and go after Israel, who's crushing Gaza. The problem is the educated Egyptians and the Saudis all know Hamas is a nest of vipers, because they fear the Hamases in their own country. They crack down on them. Why do you think not one Arab country is saying, find those Palestinian brethren, bring them over here for a while. They can stay here and kind of, hang out on the beach till that's all taken care of. Then we'll help ship them back. None of them are taking the Palestinians in. They don't want any of that toxicity. They don't want the Hamas infested population coming into their country. They're secretly hoping Israel could do this without it resulting in an uprising on their own streets like another Arab Spring. That's what they're worried about. It's tense time. But what I'm saying to you is Biden is down 8 points. He's losing the Muslims. Of course he's losing the Muslims. He's losing the youth, even though he's trying to give them free school. Shows how ungrateful they are. He's going to lose the wealthy corporate class. because they're going to start to divide and fragment from the radical left. That was a marriage made in hell in the first place. And you're going to watch as this thing comes together. So just so you can see what I'm saying, I believe that Israel is, ironically, the issue that's taking apart the Democrats. Who would have thought? And while they're after Mike Johnson and they're mocking him for his Christianity, that's not causing the fragmentation. That's just exposing the anti-Christian, antichrist that's been there all along. But it's the anti-Jew, the anti-Semitism that is shocking to the Jewish people in the United States, as it is in Europe right now. Now, I think Israel's going to have to come out on top because I think the Jews are going to continue to leave. I think the anti-Semitism in Europe and in the United States is going to make more and more Jewish people want to go to Israel. And I think Israel is going to probably, I'm believing, rather than this expanding into World War III prematurely, which I don't think can happen right now, I think it's going to result rather into the occupation, a further expansion, a strengthening of Israel. It doesn't mean there isn't going to be a counterattack. But I'm thinking right now, a strengthening of Israel, and I think this is paving the way for Trump to come in. Israel, being blessed by him, is becoming the Israel that is the stumbling stone of the Democrats. Woo! You see what I'm trying to tell you? All right, I want you guys to share this broadcast. I get nothing out of it other than the satisfaction of sharing with you the inside scoop, fast as it comes to me. My prediction is that the marriage between the corporate Democrats and the activists territory on the radical left is breaking up right now. It was a forced fusion in the first place. It was abnormal, and now it's breaking apart. AOC and Rashida and Ilhan Omar and Ivana Presley and those types are going to break with the corporate Democrats, the transactional Democrats, the Joe Manchins, the Joe Bidens. Now, here's the other thing. There's 4 Senate seats that the Democrats have that are up for grabs. They're in a vulnerable place. 4 seats, including West Virginia and Montana and Arizona. And is it in Carolina? Where's the 4th one? But there's 4 seats that could be taken. So those of you that don't follow this stuff closely, pray for the 4 Senate seats to flip over to some patriot senators. Because we have a margin in the Senate. And you know what they're freaking out over on the left? They're saying this election could come down to just a few thousand votes in a few key counties. That's right. There's 30 key counties out of 3,143 counties in the United States. There's like 30 that are pivotal. There's probably about 13 that'll decide the election. Mara, me, and our team is going to go to 7 of those swing states. We're going to zero in on those counties. And we're going to be very strategic about deploying people. Not just the prayer and shofar blowing, folks, but I'm talking about the machinery that's going to go out and bring in those particular votes, those votes that are going to make the transition, because they're already predicting Rachel Maddow's having a meltdown. It's going to come down to a couple of thousand votes. We've really crippled the fraudulent capacity of anybody to steal elections right now. There's been a lot of damage done to that, a lot of effort done. It's not impossible, but it's getting harder to do. That means the field is kind of getting leveled out a little bit. We hit those 7 states, those 20 or so counties with intentionality. The left is saying it's just going to come down to a couple of thousand votes. That's what they're saying. They're predicting it's going to come down to a couple of thousand votes. They're already nervous Trump is coming in. In spite of the 700 years, they're going to try to lock him up. The bankruptcy, they got his poor daughter on a witness stand. His sons have to testify against. This is so the devil. Get your daughter to turn on you. Get your children to turn on you. It's almost like Job, and God saying to Satan, all right, take a look at Donald. Everything he has is in your hands for a little while. Can't touch his body, though. Can't take him out. And Donald's going to come right through this thing, through the fire, into the Oval Office. And, don't you think he'll be loaded for bear when he gets his opportunity? Thank God our Texas Senator Ken Paxton survived. They're trying to take him into court again next week for something he did 20 years ago. It's like the devil. It's like, did you sin 15 years ago? I think I'll discuss it now. What did you do 20 years? What did you do, young man, 20 years ago? So they're going to try to take him out. But, we got. I think Trump's going to load that team up. Woo! It's going to be an interesting time. But I want you to hear this. Who would have thought Israel would be the issue that would fragment the Democratic Party? It wasn't MAGA, it wasn't the Patriots, it wasn't the Christian right, it wasn't anti-national, it wasn't a revival, it wasn't an awakening. is Israel. Ho ho! How profound and how God. And Trump sowed into Israel, and Israel has become the stumbling block of the Democrats. What to do with Hamas? Well, that's my word for the night. Hope you enjoyed this broadcast. If you did, would you please like and share it? There's only 500 you on now. Used to be 1,000, used to be 2,000, used to be 3,000. Back in the day before I was seriously suppressed, and I am terribly suppressed in everything but spirit. In spirit, I'm alive. Share this, will you? I'll read your comments. Look forward to comments. And it's always fun when these messages get off into, liberal land. The hatred, the venomous, spewing hatred, the spin your head around exorcist experience that happens when you read those toxic comments from people who really should love me. If they knew me, they'd love me. Okay? God bless you. Be talking to you soon. And share this. Would you please share it? And let me know what your thoughts are. I think the Democrats are fragmenting because of Israel. Israel because of Hamas. Hamas because the devil, true to how God sets him up, has overreached. And the very thing he wasn't intending, Trump and the United States. Standing by Israel, but Trump coming in. Woo! Ironic, isn't it? Talk to you later.